Hello and welcome to Femme Fatale by Helen. I have a very special guest today. So this one is different than anyone else that I interviewed or any other guest that I had in my podcast. I have Dr. Mitra Rashidian, which she is a sexologist. And then, so my favorite subject, and I know this subject is also very hot and topic for so many other people, might not be as comfortable to talk about it. But here we are, and I want to talk about this subject, which is human basic needs, and what we still have so much resistance to talk about it. So Dr. Mitra, I want to start with introducing you about your expertise and how you get here. And then from there, we will go over my questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Helen. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be part of your show. I have heard so many good things about it. Once I was, I got to know you, and so glad to be here today to, you and I both can, help your audience to learn how to feel comfortable about their sexuality. This big taboo topic that,
I know, right?
nobody wants to talk about, but guess what?
So true.
Most people do have sex except children, right?
That is so
They
true.
they don't want to talk about it. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's like everybody eats, but nobody wants to talk about food.
So true.
Everybody sleeps, but nobody wants to talk about sleep. We all
Absolutely.
breathe, but we don't want to talk about breathing. So how's that possible? So let me start by give you some basic definitions, and then from that, or maybe I introduce myself first.
Yes, please. I want you to
Okay.
introduce yourself, because
So,
we're going to put all your information at the bottom of our YouTube channel and in our podcast. So for everyone to be able to reach out to you and then to get your services and the help with whatever they need. But it will be wonderful if you can introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. So my name, as you said, is Mitra Rashidian. I'm Persian initially, and then I moved to LA back in 1978, and ever since I've been living here. So I was a young girl when I moved here, and I studied I got my bachelor degree in electrical engineering, but
Oh,
then
wow.
After a while I said,
No way, in Iran or here?
Here.
Oh my God, how interesting. Okay.
And then I said, no, this isn't for me. And I worked as an engineer, but I couldn't really connect with bunch of equipment, basically, and then doing software and all of that. So fast forward, I got into psychotherapy, and I got into the field of psychotherapy. And so when I started my master's degree in this area, we were given clients, and naturally, because I was Farsi speaking, I was given Farsi speaking clients. So when I talked, about, family issues or couples issues or individual issues, I noticed immediately that when it came to the talk about sex and sexuality, they all said nope, they didn't want to talk about it. And then so there was a big gap of information there that I knew through training that those were the roadblocks towards their mental well-being, but the refusal wouldn't allow me to access the information. So one day,
especially some culture more than some other cultures.
Right, exactly. So one day in supervision, I asked my supervisor, and I was a student at that time. I said, I have no idea how to cross this gap. I don't know what stops people to talk about their sexuality. And then she pointed out to the library and said, if the answer to my question is not there, I'm looking at a lifelong research question for myself. So get busy.
Okay.
I still remember the day. I still remember the question. I still remember her comment. And sure enough, we didn't have any information about, in particular, Iranian American women sexuality. And
Wow.
that became my research topic ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I studied.
I'm taking notes.
I did a research in that area, which showed me the result indicated that women of Iran and women of Middle East in general, right, they refer to their sexual problems as abdominal pain, as bodily, problem, but not about, what is going on sexually with them.
Mm.
So that became the foundation for my PhD program, which I did that. And to do that, I actually had to travel to Australia because that was the methodology that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that, I finished a 2-year also postdoctoral degree after that, which qualified me to become a sexologist.
Wow.
So I learned that sexology is a study of scientific study of human sexuality, and we use medicine,
Mm.
psychology, economy, politics, religion, culture, and environment
Mm.
in order to evaluate, a person's sexuality. That
Wow.
means sexuality, human sexuality, is a biopsychosocial phenomena. So that means there is a biological or genetic component, there is a psychological component, and there is an environment component.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
the environment means culture, religion, and everything else that's in the environment.
I see.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's
Wow.
basically a short foundation for that. So my research showed me that there's so much roadblock and limitation in how to express a person's sexuality, in particular people of our background.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to use those two, those finding, all of my research finding, in order to be qualified as a diplomat sexologist through the American Board of Sexology, and also to become a registered sex therapist for the what do you call the American Association of Sexuality Educator, Counselors, and Therapists.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank
Wow.
you. So
Thank you
lots of
so
years.
much. And now I'm
To,
like 100 times more. Thank you for
yeah,
being in
sure.
this show.
Lots
Appreciate
of
it.
years and research went into this,
Yeah.
and I really became, very fascinated by my finding, and I
Mm.
learned that how much of who we are is actually our identity, is our sexuality. Some
Mm.
that our culture doesn't want to look at, and
Mm.
they have introduced our sexuality as a shameful,
Yeah.
sinful act. And that's not, I have to say, just limited to our culture.
Correct.
Most
Asian culture, African culture, South American
uh,
culture, you
American
know,
culture,
American culture.
Western culture, all of them, they look at sexuality as a shameful, sinful
Absolutely.
act. And then, but each nation, based on their uh, growth, based on their modernization, based on their openness, based on involvement with religion, and
Mm.
following the culture, they practice that, plus minus, more openly or more closed or more hidden. So
Mm.
it's not something that I can say is unique to us. But since we're talking about, our culture, then we can only speak about how our culture, represents sexuality, and how the expectation is for us, in particular women, to follow those rules
Mm.
and,
Mm.
limitations in terms of
Correct.
a modest woman, or what we call khanum.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Or even our words is tied into our sexuality. Our
Everything,
values are tied into this sexuality. Like if
everything.
I had extra 5 times sex, now I'm worthless or my values is questionable. So I'm like, and like until when? Until when we're gonna
Yes.
evaluate ourselves based
Yes.
on our sexuality?
Yes. So basically, when we talk about sexuality, if we want to approach it through the lens of culture limitations, we won't be able to talk about it. I mean,
Correct.
we can't just look at sex as an act for, you know, for having kids, and that's it,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Yep.
And
Correct.
but the reality is that, you know, sexuality is not just for procreation. It's not just for that. It's not something that men needs. It's not any of that. You know, that's like an epsilon size of it. You know,
Yeah,
sexuality
that just
is,
blows me in my mind. It's something that man needs. So how about woman?
yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't, is this a brainwash of like woman?
It is a brainwash.
It is, it is. I'm
It
like,
is a
how, what
brainwash.
are you saying? Is like, is as important to me, like, is that compared to a man, is like if I go without a sex for a week or with a month, like I feel like I'm fully cuckoo. So it's like, how do you think we have sex because the man wants it? No, because I want it.
No, I mean, we earlier you and I just touched on the concept of consent,
Oh
right?
yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
sex is not about what men wants
yeah,
or what women wants. You know,
yes,
it's
yes,
about
yes,
how to bring a harmony in that part of relationship between two
100%.
human beings,
Very
right?
true.
But
Yes.
if we look at, I mean, culture, there are so much factors here, cultural do's and don'ts, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are cultural do's and don'ts that if you just simply, you know, look at the commercial on TV here in the United States. If they want to introduce a new eyeglass, they show a woman's buttocks, you know.
Correct.
If they
That is so true.
right,
That is
if
so
yeah,
true.
if they
Everything
want
is
to,
tied into
yeah,
woman's
yeah,
sexuality.
if
Yes,
they
for
want
sure.
to, if they want to show a new cleaning product, they show a woman in the kitchen, right? If they want to show something exciting and fearless and all of that, they show a man with the big muscles and, you know,
Mm,
topless and everything. But majority of commercials are also related to how women need to wear this mascara, this lipstick, this color, this perfume, and all of that.
mm-hmm,
So who designs those commercials? Not you and
mm,
I.
yeah, yeah,
Corporations, right?
yeah.
And those corporations, their job is to sell item in a sexual way, right? But but then again, when a woman talks about her sexuality, that is taboo,
You nailed it.
you
You
know.
nailed it.
So
Yes, yes. Okay, yes.
right.
Yeah,
But you know,
they sell woman sex left and right, but when a woman talks about it, it's like taboo, or it's just like I literally not too long ago was in this American podcast,
yeah,
which it will call woman, oh, like you if you sleeping around, basically you have like a less valued because as a woman you're sleeping around. I'm like how about the man? So
yeah,
like what kind of effect that has in men life, why the woman is less valued compared to the men. So like there's lots of different vocabulary and label goes into women's sexuality, like which doesn't affect men at all, which I think this is the reason I like this is one of my favorite subjects I want to talk about, that hey, let's talk about it, let's be comfortable about our own sexuality.
yeah. I mean, sexuality. You know, I like to go over a definition that I have from World Health Organization, and you know, because it's not my definition, it's the association definition. I need to be careful and read it verbatim. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go over that so that we can understand what we're talking about and
Okay.
how the reality of sexual health has
Mm-hmm.
been reintroduced and reformatted and reframed in society.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. So
Correct.
according to World Health Organization, sexual health is, which sexual health, you know, includes sex, sexuality, and all of that, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
a state of physical, emotional, mental, and social well being in relation to sexuality. It is not merely the absence of disease, dysfunction, or infirmity. Sexual health requires a positive and respectful approach to sexuality and sexual relationships as experience and oh, I missed the point, as well as possibility of having pleasurable and safe sexual experiences free of coercion, discrimination, and violence. For sexual health to be attained and maintained, the sexual right of all persons must be respected, protected, and fulfilled.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's the definition of sexual health. Within that, we have sexuality, right?